Okay, we are live. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good day. Just depends on where you are and when you are listening to this broadcast. My name is Clara Lyons-DeVaughn, and I am the broker owner of Lyonsview Realty. We provide residential, commercial for small businesses and nonprofits, and property management services. We come every Friday at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for Lyonsview Realty Financial Fridays, and our goal is to provide you with resources, information, and tips to help you make the best financial decisions. We hope that you increase your wealth building power now and in the future. So remember to like, share this video. I'm really excited because turn the music off. I'm really excited because my special guest today is someone who has been with us before, Miss Almitra Tankersly. Hello.
Good morning, Clara. How are you? Thanks
I
for having me.
I am fabulous. Thanks for joining us. It's really interesting because Miss Almitra is a wealth of information. I always enjoy having her on the broadcast, and it's interesting because we always get deep in the word and other things, but we met has been pre-pandemic actually,
Yeah,
and
a few years back. Yep.
yeah, through a mutual friend of ours through the National Association of Real Estate Brokers, and she's just been very inspirational to me and has
Oh,
provided a lot of
I'm not
information.
crying out. It's my allergies. Thank
Indeed.
you, Clara.
You're welcome. Just a lot of information, and I want to be able to share that information with all of you today. So today we're really going to be talking about share that
Um,
information with all of. Oops, I got a feedback loop going on here. Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, great. So today we're going to be talking about some of the challenges in the industry, and how that's impacting your access to capital, and strategies for that market. As you all know, the interest rates are going up, but
Oh, they're low. They're cheap. No.
don't fear. Anything under double digits is still good, even though it's coming up. But it is creating some challenges for
Yeah.
individuals and for businesses who are trying to access capital, access credit, and do different things. So let's start, Ms. Almitra. Tell everyone a little bit about yourself and your business credit fitness, and this girl talks credit, and we'll go
Yes.
from there.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Clara. Well, everyone, my name is Almitra Tankersly, and this Gal Talks Credit. I'm a credit specialist in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and I work with small business owners who are looking for creative ways to get financing and funding, working capital to help them start and sustain the businesses that they're in. The caveat to that is most of these business owners are also regular consumers. They do everything that everybody else does, which is buy homes, cars, need loans for school, all that good stuff. And so a lot of times as a business owner, that person uses their personal credit to establish what's needed for business.
Mhm.
And without proper guidance or accountability of some sort with a specialist, they usually bomb out. They are the ones that usually have the 400 and 500 credit scores because a lot of things could be just a little unbalanced on the personal profile. So we help bring that all together, providing accountability, providing guidance, and most importantly, a master strategy, which I am the master strategist at Credit Fitness. So it's been a pleasure to be in this industry for 23 plus years, working with tons of individuals who are in this field as well. People like John Alzheimer. I think John was the first person that really turned me on to the whole what is this algorithm, the credit scores. He actually worked for TransUnion. He's written for credit.com and been on CNN several times. So you guys can look him up. But that was the turn on for me to really dig deeper to understand what's really going on behind the scenes in regards to credit, and as to why so many African Americans or people of color have issues trying to establish lines of credit like their white friends. So a lot of times we are misled. The information that we gather is either within our circles, which usually we might be the smartest person in the circle, but we take their advice, or we're trying to figure out how they did what they did, and then we're trying to reverse engineer, which is sometimes dangerous. But in regards to, just getting real good information, I think we're becoming more educated to pay for education, to pay for mentorships, and paying for getting in circles that would actually help them. So yeah, we provide a safe haven of tons of services that allow our clients to kind of, choose from the rainbow of what they need. So if it is working capital for a business to buy a building, a single door, or whatever the case may be, it's to that extreme. And then, of course, you have others who might have purchase orders, maybe they're in t-shirt businesses or makeup or whatever, and they might have to wait for those invoices to be filled. So there are factoring companies that would allow them to, gather those funds as an advance, of course, for a fee, but it still gives them working capital. So that's on that side of the coin. And then on the other side of the coin is when we're dealing with personal stuff, where if they are trying to purchase a home or do a refi, or maybe it's the new home that they want to upgrade or downgrade to, or I should say downsize or upsize. But for the most part, it is the same stuff. So we handle from A to Z, as they would say, from the rooter to the tutor if you eat pig. But for the most part, it is a dirty business in many cases. I would say most white collar crime is in the financial world. Why henceforth so many people have been scammed. So we try to create a transparency platform so people can understand not only how it works. I don't want people to get too caught up in trying to figure out how it works, but to really go through the process so they have bank etiquette, meaning like if you're a business owner, you should have your, operations agreement. You should have your P&L sheets. You have tax returns that are filed for the last few years. Like these are the etiquettes that most people that don't know they should have is, being brought to the forefront to say, this is what I'm supposed to do. And then also on the personal, to have a personal credit report that actually speaks for you in rooms that you will never be in when it comes to underwriting. So yeah, we really try to create I would say a learning platform, but because most of my clients don't have time to learn, they're like, look, quick. We want to at least give them bite-sized pieces of information to be able to carry them through, so they'll have enough, know-how to not get burned. Is probably the best way to say that, just to be aware of what sounds right and what sounds off. And if they're not sure, to, reach out to us as their coach, their consultant, and strategist to make sure that they're on the right path.
Wow, you said quite a bit, and I'm glad you said some things. Particularly, I teach a commercial real estate class, and one of the things that I shared was being totally transparent. I thought when I started my business, because they gave me a credit card in my business name, that it was a business credit card, and it was not, right? And I also talked about some of the things that you're sharing about, establishing that personal credit is very different from business credit. Like it's not the same animal. And
Yeah.
also those things, the tax returns, the profit and loss statements, keeping their books in order over time so that when they go into this world of acquiring capital, that they have the right foundation in place to be able to do that. So talk about two things. One, the difference between personal credit and business credit. Let's start there. And then the other question I had, you said you provide information. Do you provide the actual product for um, the capital acquisition on the business side?
Yes. So I'll definitely talk about both. In regards to the differences between personal and business, One is it's two different people. If you can think of it as people, you have yourself, and then you have this person that you created in your image called your business. And if you were to look it up in Wikipedia or Google it, you're going to see that it says it's a real person, it's an entity. And so I think if we just start there, we'll be able to understand how important it is to really make sure you separate everything on paper as well. To make it a little bit more icky, think of you having a toothbrush, and you take that same toothbrush and let your friend use it. You would never do that. I wouldn't even do that with a kid. Like if it's my kid, like, right? So I want you to start having those icky feelings like that. All right. Now, in regards to you setting up a profile that is for the business is most important, because what's happening is when you are doing all of the work, let's just say, you're using your personal credit to establish an Amex or Discover card or Capital One, you're excited because it gives you quick access using your own name. So you're like, okay, great. I have a couple dollars. I can do whatever it is you're going to do. The issue is you are either one going to have someone that's really good on bookkeeping and accountability for accounting purposes, because once you get into that commingling of your funds to support the business, that can be an issue, especially in underwriting, because when underwriting wants to see your business, they see you. So we're trying to make sure you understand that there are two people involved, which is yourself and your business. And that way, when it comes to building a profile for your business, the business has its own profile, and then you have your own profile. Here's a perfect example of what I mean. There's a ton of people that have done trucking, Turo, Airbnb. Whether they purchase the home for the Airbnb or they're renting, once you put something out there in cyberspace on your personal name, on your personal credit profile, that is now a debt that's against your name. So if you purchase cars for Turo, like so many people I have met, 2, 3, 4 cars on their personal report, that debt load looks super top heavy, especially when they're saying, I'll make sure I need business credit. And so if you have 3, 4 cars, and let's say these notes are anywhere from 40 to some I've seen $80,000, $90,000, and you do that 3, 4 times, you're already almost at $500,000 in debt load for a car. Now, you want business credit because you're bringing in the revenue. The revenue's coming in. You're super excited. You have the good old PayPal, Cash App, whatever you guys are using for your gateway to collect your money. You're like, I make the money, okay? Now, whether it's going into your business account, which I hope that it is going into your business checking account, it's all great and fine. The problem is all the credit has been built up for your personal. So even though you might say, look at my business profile, there's nothing there. Maybe you have a couple of business cards because you listen to social media and they say, go get Granger, go get Uline, go get Amazon. What's the other ones? Home Depot, like all those little cards. You keep hearing the same cards over and over, which by the way, I'll talk about. Remind me to talk about that. Okay. But you have these cute little cards, and that's not really much of anything. In fact, you need 15 lines of credit like that on your business to be considered a real business consumer. Okay. So if you don't have 15 or more, you're playing with baby blocks. Okay. So getting back to personal, you built all this credit from all the cars, from all the rentals, all that stuff is on your personal. So the moment you go to ask for, let's say, a Visa or a Master in the business name, one or two things might happen. Either one, you might not have any credit cards that are at like 10,000 or more as far as limits on your personal to give a bank the green light to say, yeah, we'll give that person 5 to up to 100 times more than what they have on their personal. And that's because the data is missing from your personal report. But you got tons of car loans, you got tons of mortgages. That's not good enough. They don't care about that because you're asking for a credit card relationship. You don't have any data on your personal record that says you can handle that. That's the first part. The second part is because of all that debt load, they might say, okay, well, you have 5 car loans here, and we need to see that you're making at least 15,000 to 20,000 a month for us to establish your business. Now, most people are like, oh, yeah, that's in my business. Mm-mm-mm. The debt load is on your personal. They need to see your personal income coming in at the amount that they have requested. So once you start bringing in the business, now it's like, oh, no. Let me tell you about my friend. Hey, friend, this is my business. Could you tell them how much you're making? They're not really interested in that. They want to make sure you understand that if you're doing business, business should be business and personal should be personal. So if it's really the business, then that stuff should have been on the business profile, which, by the way, you could get the car loans in your business name, which you can get the properties in your business name. Can the money be a little bit more expensive as far as the interest rates? Absolutely. Okay. But the main thing is you still get all those perks at the end of tax season. Write it off. And if you have a good bookkeeper and accountant and the, tax preparer, all these people are important for your team so you can stay out of trouble and so that you're not paying out of the wazoo and having improper P&L sheets. So this is, the difference is, once you need to go do something, let's say if that person needed a mortgage, more or less, they're not going to get that mortgage. And I promise you, their hearts are broken, for a second, because you come up with the strategy to make sure that they can move that stuff over to the proper table, which is the business table. And that way it frees them up on the personal. Now, if I can just add this little piece right here in regards to transferring, once you start transferring, you're going to get hit again. Okay. And I'm saying that because if you think of like Velcro, where you have the little strip and you peel it apart and it's like, okay, so think of it like that. You're ripping things from your report, which means that you could actually go into that whole thing. And I really apologize. My allergies are really acting up today. If you really look at the whole setup here, if you have loans, especially car loans, if you have them on there for more than 24 months, that's kind of like super glue to your report. Okay. Now you're going to move it over, whether you did it through a refi, putting it on the business side, or if you just flat out paid it off. Anytime you close accounts on your report, you're going to lose a significant amount of points where it could start you from ground zero. I've seen people pay off loans and they're like excited, like, oh my God, I'm on my last payment for my mortgage or my last payment for the car note or whatever personal, whatever they got as an installment. They're so excited. And that's because we got the mindset of debt free. But the problem is when you close, now all of that positive information, and of course, I'm leaning towards that it's positive, not charged off, not late paid, They close this account with the last payment by doing a refi or a cash out or whatever they're doing. And the scores can drop 100 points or more. So now, even though you did all this buildup on your personal side and you were told today you can move it over, don't just jump and do stuff like that without having the proper guidance. So that way, what your proper expectations should be. Okay. So now that we talked about bringing them apart and putting them together, it just really makes sense to start it from the beginning, the correct way. I get we all did what we did during the pandemic, especially, but we have to figure out how to now really keep everything clean lines. You know how they say in grade school, stay within the lines. This would be one of those situations where you have to exercise discipline to stay within the lines, so that way you can actually build a strong personal report, which we help as well. And then on the business side, we'll be able to do that too. Okay. So I hope that answered the question. What's the differences?
Yeah.
It is two different beasts. And I'll say one thing about Capital One, and let me just say, I'm not against any cards out there. But Capital One is one of those cards that says, hey, we have a business card. And the business card shows up on your personal. So even if they gave you 50,000, 20,000, you're excited about that. Once you swipe on the personal, is going to affect you negatively. Okay. So make sure you talk to someone who can actually guide you to which credit card Capital One has that will not show up on your personal, because a lot of them show up. All right. So that's that. As far as the business, once you establish yourself with 15 lines minimum, and this is not your cash cards, this is not your I'm trying to think of another type of loan. It would be like
30,
cash
60,
advances.
90s.
Yeah, like cash advancements. Like that stuff usually does not help build the score per se or build the bureaus, because there's multiple bureaus on the business side. You have Business Equifax and Experian. You have Dun and Brad. You have NAV. You have Credit Safe. It's a bunch of them. So if you are trying to like put things on paper for business, you have to go beyond the Grangers, the Ulines, the gas. You got to go beyond that stuff, because what's happening is since the pandemic, the underwriters have changed the answers to the test. And that's because it has been so easy to build credit for a business. It's just that it got exploited and overexposed during the time that everyone was locked down. And so now the answers are being changed to where once you were able to just get a quick Uline or a quick Granger or quick gas card and not touch your personal credit, mostly all the lines of credit are all requesting for personal guarantees. And if you don't have the credit, they want at least $500 as a deposit, and some to the tune of $1,000. But that's really kind of that's like a head fee to get people that should not be in the building out of the building. And I think it's kind of, I would say, not dying down all the way to where they're doing these extreme underwriting processes, but you need 15. And if you don't know which ones pull credit versus the ones that don't, it's going to be very hard for anyone to build going forward, because they have changed the answers to the test. The information that's on social media, it's unfortunate. I almost want to say that the ones that are doing all the talking are the ones that haven't put any skin in the game. They may have been around since the pandemic or maybe a year or two before the pandemic. And they've told so much that have been working forever. Like I've been in this for 20 plus years. So I know there are companies that either went out of business because of people talking too much, or the banks were receiving like tens of thousands of applications like all in one week, and they're like, what's going on? Definitely. So once they do the investigation, they see somebody has done a video, they're like, oh, okay, yeah, just change all the underwriting, decline everybody. If they got an approval, rescind the offer. Like it was a lot, and it still is a lot of that going on. So, the ones that are doing all the talking, they're kind of doing an injustice to the community, especially to our community, because we are 50 plus years behind in the financial education world. My hats are not off to them. If anything, I would say, get in a closed setting, make people pay a small head fee, so that way it's a private situation, and now you have accountability for who you're talking to, versus, just blah, 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 blah. It just, thrown up all over the place, and it's like a mess. So I would say, get with a person that actually has the structure. We at Credit Fitness, we have structure. We've had clients come in where they're like, "Oh, me, I'm scared." And I'm like, I get it, but we're here. We'll hold your hand. And it takes about 90 days to establish 5 lines of credit. It's about 5 a month. And then, of course, once they get to that second month, man, they done took the training wheels off, the little 2-wheel bike, and they're calling, "Hey, I'll make sure what you think about this." So we really have a team that, works with you, and it's a collab effort. You know exactly where this line is going to show up on your personal report as well as on your business report. It's a transparent transaction, and it makes it more, I would say, more user friendly, because I think some people have made this thing to be rocket science, and it's not. It really isn't. Sometimes it doesn't have anything to do with the actual credit score when it comes to you establishing credit. But if you understand how many options you have, you can do a whole lot more.
Right. So we were talking about, investing in yourself. You used the word pay, but it's actually an investment. And I look at it kind of differently, because when you pay something, it's gone. You gave that money,
Mm-hmm.
and it went where it went, and it's gone. Like you pay for a pair of shoes. You invest in information and education, right? So
Mm-hmm.
it's a different mindset in my book.
Mm-hmm.
And so when folks are investing in developing capital for their business,
Mm-hmm.
um, you know, how long is that process? Like, what does it take to, get someone from the point of having no business credit to getting business credit to doing that Velcro period,
Yeah.
when you're transferring things over before it shows up in a way that's effective for the larger purchases or the
Yeah,
larger,
sure.
yeah.
So, to be honest with you, if a person is registered with the Secretary of State properly, correctly, and have the right entity, meaning they are not a sole proprietor and they're not, a partnership, that will allow the person to really establish a credit score as an A1 status in 30 days. But that A1 status is not going to be respected by really any bank, because they're like, you're brand new. So it takes 90 days for you to be considered seasoned. And of course, if you add another 90 days to that, that takes us to about the 6 month mark. That's when they'll say, good job. Okay, we'll give you the play. We'll give you a little bit more. You kind of proven yourself within that first 90-day, window. You didn't jack it up, so we'll give you some more. That second 90-day, okay, we'll let you in the club. So it takes about that amount of time, as far as 6 months to be solid, 3 months to be kind of looked at with, kid gloves. But the first 30 days of you actually establishing 5 lines of credit, you can see your first score generated. Um, I would say, because we have financing for all of our programs, which is really cool, we want to make sure that people understand that when you're building credit, you said investment. Yes, it is. But I use words that people know: pay. And the reason why I say pay, because we pay for shoes, hair, cars, bags. We pay for this stuff because we are investing in our outward opinion, our outward appearance. So because of that, once they see that when they pay a certain dollar, you're paying for money. Okay. You're paying to get in the club, to not just get 25,000. In fact, when people say, I just need a cool 25,000, I'd rather not work with you as a client, because it's a mindset. Okay. I work just as hard for 250,000 than 25. It's the same exact work. In fact, it's the same exact work, but it's the energy that goes into the 25,000. I'm trying to help them, trying to help them not be scared of 25,000. Like that's a different beast. And I do have people that I have in my circle of network. I actually kind of partnered up with a young lady. She does mindset and finance, and she's amazing. So I let her handle that lane, because it is a mindset. And I'm not, throwing shade on anyone that says, well, I'm afraid of 25,000. It's my first 25. I get that. But it takes a village to be able to bring it all in, because as this person that I chose to work with helps you with mindset, I'm over here getting you the funding. Okay. And then they marry in the middle, because one thing you cannot be scared of is an extra comma or extra zero when you're building a credit line for a business. This is someone else's money that you're putting at risk, because you're scary and you're shaking like a leaf. That's dangerous. So I would rather not have you pay for anything. I would rather you go and speak to someone first about mindset. That way, when you come and meet in the middle with the money, now you're like, 25,000 is the same as 250,000 and 2.5 million. It really is the same. And although you might say, I need a cool 25,000, trust me, you need 75,000. That way, if you needed 25,000, you got 50,000 over here available in credit, just in case you can't make the payment. You can use some of the 50,000 to make the payment. Or if something came up, I love this one. When people buy property and they say, oops, I didn't see this stack pipe that need to be fixed. You got 50,000 to go fix the stack pipe. and keep paying and going forward. So it depends on everybody's situation is different. There is no one cookie cutter. We provide one-on-one consults just so people can have the transparency to know what it is that they have to do. Again, a person can, have $1,500 in their pocket versus someone that might just need only $200 in their pocket to do financing. Okay, so I mean, it really is apples and oranges, because I've had people come in, shake like a leaf, and they're like, oh my gosh, do you have anything else I can invest in, as you would say? But it's really, how much more can I pay for that kind of money? Because I want that money. Okay, so once people understand that real word that you are paying to get access to get more money, I know people don't understand that they're buying money. You're buying money. Okay, I was just telling you about the interest rates. At 7.7, whatever it was at the time that I was looking to purchase a property at 400,000, you're looking at 800,000 as far as buying 400,000 by the time I was finished with it. So we have to really give relatable words. If you don't like the word pay, you probably should not be here. And I promise you, and I say that with kid gloves, I'm not trying to offend anyone, but it's the bottom line. If you're not buying something, you're selling it. It's no in between. You're buying money. You're buying mortgages. You're buying car loans. You're buying stuff that will allow you to have it now. And you pay in the back end sometimes even more than what you paid up front. I'm just saying. But these are the relatable words. You're paying for money. Okay. And guess what? Investors are paying for money too, because they want your business. So what I mean by that is subprime lending. That's the biggest thing right now. They don't want you to have good credit scores because they get to have subprime contracts with First Premier and Indigo and all these little weird cards that charge 39.9%. That's a pretty decent piece of money that I would listen. If I had the heart for that, and I know that I don't, I would actually buy into that, because they buy billions of dollars in this money. They're like, yeah, we know that they can't get a high top rate card. It's more people at the bottom than it is in the middle and the top. So 39.9%, that's a nice return on a subprime card. Like, it's amazing. And if you don't believe me, anyone that has a $500 Capital One card, and I'm kind of telling on Capital One, but let's just be honest and transparent. If you have had a $500 Capital One limit for the last 2 years, the last 10 years, the reason why that limit will never probably go up is because it was a contract for a private investor to only allow $500 is locked, which means that it cannot increase in limit. So if you have one of those cards, that was a subprime card. It is what it is. It will never increase. That's why they offer you another card for Capital One and say, oh, try this one. And you can still keep that 500. They will never allow you to increase that limit. It's because it's been bundled and packaged like they did with the mortgages, with the foreclosure market crash. All they did was pack the good with the bad and bundled it and gave it to an investor. And they bought it. So it's the same thing with the subprime credit. And I know somebody's probably like, oh, she don't know what she's talking about. Okay, well, go ask them to increase your $500. And I promise you they won't do it. And if they did, you make sure you reach out to me and let me know so we can have a conversation, because that would be the first in history. But nonetheless, it is what it is. I mean, there's so much buying and selling and credit that if we don't speak like they do, we'll be still talking about investments. And I think so many people feel like investing is like real estate, which it kind of is, but you're buying money, you're buying homes, you're paying for something. So if we can get past that threshold and realize that if I have spent the most money in regards to my clients, I've spent money that I didn't even feel comfortable at times, but it was worth it. It was definitely worth it, because now there is no cap. I am my cap. And that's because I either would allow procrastination or laziness to get in the way. But other than that, there is no cap. Because once you know something, I me personally, I can't unknow it. I know it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it will bother me that I know something and I haven't done anything new or added. Like, it would bother me,
Right.
especially knowing how much I paid for the information. So I would say, for anyone that is interested in building their credit, pick someone that understands this process, because you can lose money paying for something that did not actually work. There's a ton of people that, again, came during the pandemic. It was a frenzy. It was like blood in the water. And those who decided to come up with programs, whether it be 1,000, 5,000, 20,000, whatever they were coming up with, some people really did get burned. And that's because they were operating off of emotion. I say a person that is trying to really get substantial grounding, do your research, get receipts, do a conversation, do a consult, like ask those hard questions to the person that is allegedly helping you to see if they really know what they're talking about. And then, of course, receipts. That's important. Receipts. I mean, most of the business that we get is referrals. I love it because we don't have to do mindset most of the time. Like, people already come and like say, listen, you got this person, 500,000, 250. I need that, so I want to make sure that people just do their homework. And if you don't want to do homework, then you shouldn't really be in the game. You really should not, because you'll be that one person that says, oh, it didn't work, or oh, that was a scam. And now you're putting bad water and bad blood out there. And that's kind of unfair to the person that really might be working hard and looking for an opportunity. But because they're listening to your experience, because you did nothing to do research, you didn't do your due diligence, yeah, like, you're kind of like being a stumbling block for them. So I would just say, if you feel like you don't want to pay for things, or you think everything should be free and cheap, you shouldn't be here either. Like, I'm gonna be honest, because I've had clients that paid 700% interest. I know that sounds crazy, but 700%. Or what about hard money? This is where I knew hard money was super dangerous in our demographic, because it is easy to get into. They'll tell you don't need credit and all. Okay, yep. I met this one person. She purchased a property in the gentrifying area in Philadelphia. And at the time, I think she might have purchased the property for less than 100,000, hard money. And she kept hard money for 7 years. She kept it for 7 years. It was all interest, all of it. By the time she pulled everything together, she wound up having to sell the property, because they were, coming, hey, we'll buy your property, da, da, da. She didn't want to sell, but she wound up selling it to someone that she knew, but she owned nothing. She paid 7 years on hard money. And when I saw how much she paid, I said,
you could have,
oh my God. Like, but as long as people understand that you can't have everything for cheap. Like, you can't go to, there's a car dealership that you and I both know, FC Kerbeck, with the beautiful Phantom sitting in the window, right? You're not going to go to the Phantom and say, I'm coming for you on credit, unless you've gone through all the necessary requirements. How do I know this? Is because we actually had a private party at FC Kerbeck. And I asked, I said, so I have some clients here that are interested in this vehicle. What would it take for them to get to the Phantom? They said, well, if they come in and we look at their credit, even though they might make, 100,000, 500,000, whatever they're making, we don't see anything on that report that shows that they had at least $100,000 as a vehicle on their report. We're not financing them. And I said, wait, what you mean? What if they come in with money? They said they'll probably have to pay cash, because we're not going to finance them. I said, so how do they build up to that? He said, well, let me walk you over to the other room. And he walks me to the used Bentley section. And he says, we would let them have this car for about 6 months to a year and see how they do with that. Once they do that, then we'll check their credit again. And then we'll let them come into the Phantom, and they still might need a big chunk of money down. Once I saw that, I said, well, there's no such thing as saying, I know Phantom is about $500,000, but I only want it for $329,000. That's not happening. That's not happening. So you have to have the proper etiquette to know that the way we buy houses, buy money, it's not always the same as what you know it to be. So don't make yourself look silly or have etiquette that's not actually polished, as they would say, because you're gonna tell the story about who you are as a person. Okay, so I would just say, if you're not trying to pay for money, and I'm not talking about those that are just like, well, what about this person is just saying they want 15,000 for their program? What about those? I would say, do your work, do your homework, research, find out, does this person have 3 to 10 times more than what you have? And did they do it ethically? And did they do it responsibly? Like, those are questions that I would ask. I would just say, I would start there. But as far as just coming in with knowing I'm not paying for that, that's too much, more or less, that person that's charging that has probably put in their years of expertise, education. And for me, I'm 20 something years in, and I'm trying to squish it into 1 hour. Yes, my consult is not going to be $100. It's just not.
Yeah. So let's talk about, because we're running at the top of our time, but let's talk about too. What have you got coming up that people can pay for? Do you have some workshops coming up, or how can people contact you? Like, what's next for people who really want to access business capital? And some people may be making that switch from personal to business. Some people may already be in business, but want to get in the business credit game, get in the business, accessing capital for business purposes. How do they contact you, and what do you have coming up?
Absolutely. So they can definitely contact me at creditfitness.co. That's creditfitness.co. There's a bunch of infringers out there, but we are the only company that is trademarked. You can look us up on the USPTO. Also, you can take part in some of the classes that are coming up. I have 2 free classes. One is for business. Those that are like, hey, I'm sure, let me just see what you're talking about. How do we get things set up as far as the foundational part? And I'm going to be very transparent in this class because I think there's enough information out there that might be jaded or just overly taught, and they're complicated, some things. So we have a platform that you will be able to, get access to that information. It is a 1 or 2 day class, I think. And then those that want to work a little further with us, they'll have that option at the end. But this is a class that is coming up, and you will be able to kind of get registered with us on our site at creditfitness.co. So as long as if they join in to say, hey, I want to get free information, they'll be able to get that as well. Also, if they are able to follow us on social media, I'm on Instagram and Facebook as This Gal Talks Credit, as well as creditfitness.inc. So as long as you look for the person with green hair or the Apple symbol in our logo, that is us. Anybody else, that is not us. But we could actually reach out to us as a direct message. And then also, because those who are looking for access to, well, how do I fix my personal? Because you just told me what you just told me. We have another free class. This is really a heart for me because this is how I got started in repair and kind of moved over to funding, but I know we can't leave those behind. So insureyourscore.com is the other site that they can register for. The clock has already went to 0, and that's because it's already in motion. But if you go ahead and sign up, you'll have access to the replays that we've already done. And then that way you can catch up with the live classes that are held every other Tuesday. I just taught a class in person in West Philadelphia at the CDC with Christian Compassion. And so you can, either come out if that's your learning style, or if you're like, I'm too embarrassed, I don't want to be in the room, you can attach yourself to the room virtually and you'll be anonymous so no one else will see you in the room. So that's Insure, that's INSURE, yourscore.com. And you'll be able to, register there. Now, as far as those that are like, I need money now, show me the money, Almitra. This is where you'll also be able to come in and, see what are they going to say? Like, can you tell me what the climate is on my profile? There is a platform that you can use I won't share it here live, but we try to keep it as tight as we can. But you can actually use this platform and it will tell you all the money that could possibly be offered to you. It does not hurt your credit report. It does not, reduce your score. It's not a hard inquiry, which is amazing. I love this because it works. And I've had conversations with my clients where they're like, so what money do I pick? Because they're offering me 7 things and I don't know what to do. So this is a really great opportunity for you to have the consult. And this is where we kind of reserve that time. But if you go to creditfitness.co and sign up with one of those consults, you will be able to have the opportunity to discuss what has been given to you and also to know what other options are available as well. If your credit is in really bad shape, then credit partners, oh my gosh, Clara, credit partners are like it's the most innovative thing since, I don't know, I want to say smartphones, but they're kind of dumb. But anyway, the credit partner can get you across the bridge while you're trying to catch up. Okay, so a credit partner is basically someone who is willing to stand in the gap for your business until you can actually get things, in better shape. So a credit partner acts as your chief financial officer. They don't have to be an owner of your business. They don't have to do your business. They could be, just someone on the back set saying, okay, I have great credit. I believe in what you do. And how about we work out some percentages? Meaning, if let's say that person got you 100,000, as an added benefit, you could say, hey, I'll give you 10% of whatever I got from the 100,000. So that would be 10 grand that you could either pay up front, pay over time, whatever, just to give that person an incentive to continue being your credit partner. And I've had credit partners that are like, we taking this to the moon, baby. Okay, so it really can be a great opportunity for people to like come outside of the box thinking that they have to do anything. You and I were just talking about this, Clara, where you said, I have to know who can do what. Let me delegate. So having a credit partner is delegation. You are my chief financial officer. We all heard of a chief financial officer for Bed Bath & Beyond who took their life, and it is what it is. But the chief financial officers are the bloodline to giving access to money. So I would say if you do get a business partner like that, again, they don't have to be a business partner, but they're involved in your business. Okay, so I would definitely be able to give you a strategy to protect yourself, to protect them, because most people say, I'm not messing up my credit for you. But if you have things in place like insurances, life policies, I would be able to strategize with you. There's an amazing woman by the name of Tony Moore. She is an attorney here in Philadelphia, bad diva. And she has sat with my clients and gave them the legalese and said, just in case somebody chokes on a chicken bone, which I was like, Tony, but she said, no one cares about you and your business. Like, okay, you're dead. And she's so raw, but she's so honest, because if a person is saying, I'm going to be your credit partner and you do choke on a chicken bone, God forbid, I don't want that load on my family, my life. That's me. So she has been able to set things up legally for people to be credit partners, and it's a piece of paper. It's so amazingly easy for people to really come together and be able to be protected and be able to sleep at night. So have a conversation with us at creditfitness.co. Please make sure you do that, because some of y'all are sitting on gold mines. Like, I don't even think they know. It's amazing how they don't know, but I want to make sure that people have the opportunity to at least see who is willing to give you some money if they're willing, and if they're not, when. That's it. And once you understand that, path will be so clear in front of you that you won't have to feel like, it's going to be probably 2023. You might not even live that long. Okay. And I'm not trying to be like morbid or anything, but we have to operate for today. If you have the power to find out what it is that you need to do today, who knows, God is going to give you the gift to be here tomorrow, next year, and the next year, because you got a surefire plan, because you made it here today. This conversation you seeing or hearing today wasn't by accident. it could be the very sign that you're looking for. But the main thing is you've got to take action. You got to get the idea out of your head. You got to implement it with people that say they know how to do it. I've been brought on a show by you, Clara, obviously, because you have trusted people in your network. And Clara like her name. And so at least do
Say
what
that
we say
again.
we do.
You went out for
Because,
a minute. Say that one more time.
oh, okay. So I was just saying, we want to make sure that we do what we say. This is a circle of trust. And, I have the most unique name. I only have this name, so I want to protect it to the utmost. So we do what we say. But, we have receipts. Go to the website, go to Insure Your Score, look at what people are saying, and, just kind of pull the trigger, because some people that paused for so long, or they're embarrassed, or anything that we talk about is confidential. If you're Clara's best friend ain't gonna be told by Clara what happened during our conversation. So I just want to make sure that you guys can have the opportunity, because I am in circles that have money. The banks want to give it to you, okay? And don't be afraid of interest rates, because if you're doing everything on business, it's a write-off. Oh my gosh! Like, Clara, people be scared of Amex memberships. I had one person that was like, "Oh my God, I got a limitless card," which that's another conversation for another day. But this conversation was $750 for the annual membership, and they're freaking out. They're like, "I have two of these cards. They want $1,400." I said, "Hello, you need a P&L sheet, right?
Yeah.
That goes on your P&L sheet." They're like, "Oh, yeah, can I get 4 more?" So I want people not to be scared. Don't be a scaredy cat of interest rates and fees and stuff, especially on business. Now, if it's on personal, you might want to run for the hills to the business border. Okay. But the main thing is that you gotta be with someone with accountability. Building credit ain't easy. If it was, everybody would have had it by now. But most people don't. And most people are listening, which is no problem. No problem. I am in the building with a lot of people who move money, and it's usually millions of dollars in a month. Okay, so we're not talking about, "Oh, I got a little $5,000 card." No, that's cute. My daughter gets those cards. She has a card. She just turned 18, Clara. She's got a card. Okay, so I'm just trying to get people to get their mindset. It's the mindset.
Yeah.
The mindset of, it's just an added comma, it's just a new zero. That's it. Because the people that are millionaires, they still have the problems of people that have just 5,000. I promise you, it's the same problem. So creditfitness.co, get some time with us. We'll definitely chop it up, and you'll have a game plan and strategies once you see, oh, so that's what I can do. Otherwise, you'll just be guessing, and they'll probably call you later and ask you, Clara, how can they do it?
Indeed. Almitra, this has been phenomenal as always. You are a wealth of information. Someone was inquiring about if you're out of state attending the classes, but I do believe you said that it's virtual as well.
Yes, it's virtual. Yep.
So they can tap in virtually to the classes. So the creditfitness.co, you can go there, get the information that you can to connect with Miss Almitra and her team and take your business to the next level. So I just want to thank you, Almitra.
Thank you for having me, Clara, as always.
You are so welcome. And I want to thank everyone who tuned in today. I hope and I know that you received something of value. Financial Fridays, we're here to provide you with the resources, the information, and the tips to help you make the best financial decisions and to increase your wealth building power now and in the future. So join us again next Friday. We air live on Facebook and YouTube on Fridays at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And until then, my name is Clara Lyons-DeVaughn. I am the broker owner of Lyonsview Realty, but you keep living your best life. Thank you.
Thanks, Clara.